Here we go with another season. We had a bumper season last year in the National League South, where Yeovil smashed attendance records for this level, as well as being in total control for most part of the way to becoming champions. This season promises to be tougher to predict than ever. We welcome promoted sides Chesham United, Hornchurch, Salisbury and Enfield Town, as Boreham Wood and Dorking Wanderers fell victim to the National League trapdoor to appear in this year's National League South. Some real talented players come through throughout last season and during the 23-24 season, and this summer we've seen a number of those players move on to a level above or even a move to the Football League. Such is the quality and talent that possess this league. We had all promoted sides stay up last season. We've had clubs go through transition with managers. We have managers returning to previous clubs. We have Neil Warnock. We have a bunch of amateurs down your club's touchline again this season. We have new stadiums. We've got an abundance of talent, and we have predictions. My take on how I think the summer business so far will shape the season. So let's get into it, starting with Aveley. What a season for Danny Scopes and Aveley in 23-24. For the first half of the season, they occupied the top four in the division, rubbing shoulders with full-time outfits. A season which in truth ended in agony with playoff defeat to Maidstone. Key players have left the club this summer, such as Odelusi, Vaz and Krasniki, and as has Jonathan North, an ever-present in the Millers' goal last season, retiring from football in May. Replacing him will be Josh Blunknell, a goalkeeper stepping down the levels to hopefully now move his way back up the pyramid. These will be big gloves to fill. They still have plenty of talent, and no more so than dangerous winger and attacker Coleman de Graft, and have added some National League South experience in the shape of Nathan Carlisle and Alan from Dartford. Waite is an interesting, intriguing signing as they try and repair losing 16-goal top scorer Odelusi, albeit from a different position. Scopes, who was the manager of the season for me personally last year, will need some luck and true grit from his lads, but they don't come more determined as Harry Gibbs and Garrett Kelly and co. to gain anywhere close to their 7th place last season, but why not? They defied the odds last season, but for me, Aveley will suffer some second season blues, and they've got them coming in at 17th place. Jerry Gill gathered together a very exciting squad last season. Jordan Thomas was a key figure, and they lost him to Cheltenham quite early on in the season, but still held firm with the pace. They gathered for a playoff finish. And adding the quality they already have this summer to that squad now seems to be sticking around would make you believe Bath are set for another playoff push this term. Losing Jordan Dyer is a massive blow, and really for me was a standout at the back in the National League South last season. But being part-time in football, these blows are always going to happen with the lure of full-time, higher wages and bigger clubs coming in. It's how you push on to replace those sort of players. And with Nick Grimes, he's a very comfortable centre-half and have no problem integrating with the already robust backline containing Parcell, Rains and Greenslade. Wild Richards enjoyed 11 games at this level last year with Weymouth, and his move from Bristol City will delight Gill as he opts for a permanent number 1. Jal Smith showed some glimpses last year at Maidstone, and with one player who I really believe can be a standout in years to come is lateral Humphrey Ewers. Got some minutes in the tank in National League level last season with Oxford City, and this guy will no doubt push on from here. A composed ball-playing midfielder with a great range of pass, I'm sure with Gill and his coaching department, which includes Rob Dray, Taunton's manager last season. This lad will get his education. Experience alongside him in the shape of Jordan Tilson, an experienced pro who should be a real key member for Bath City this season. Be interesting to see if they add 1 or 2 more pickups in this window to showcase the threat they have. A great start last season with only 1 defeat in the first 11. That defeat, a 6-2 home defeat to Weston-super-Mare. Bath will be strong, as so many will. I have the Romans in 7th place. Wood took it to the last day of the season to avoid relegation in 23-24 and couldn't quite get that win in a 0-0 draw with Ebbsfleet. They actually ended the season very strongly, not conceding in any of the final 4 fixtures in a send-off that wasn't quite fitting for club legend Luke Garrard. New era is now here at Meadow Park under the guidance of Ross Jenkins, a man who has tasted promotion from this division before. They've kept a good mix of the squad from last season, and as they vow to bounce back, Cox, Marsh, Bush and Payne to name a few. Top goalkeeper Nathan Ashmore will surely be one of the best at this level in the coming months. Leon Love scored plenty at this level in the North version previously, and I can see him being dangerous, especially with the power behind him. Johnny Goddard hit 15 league goals for Slough last season, and the skills and talent of Enrico Sousa means I'm sure some weeks we will get a wonder show from him. Consistency might not always be there for the talented ex-Grimsby man, but you will hate to mark him. Josh Hare is a hard-working player who's also played majority of his career of late in the level above, and O'Connell comes in from Peterborough. Someone who gained experience with previous loans, 3 last term, will add another dimension at the back for Jenkins this year, and excited to see him perform this season as a massive player for Boreham Wood. Having full-time players at this level, coming down with a National League squad, mentioning also they were not even expected to struggle last season, Boreham Wood should be strong and really blow a few clubs away, especially if the opposition aren't approaching the game in the right way. It is, however, a transitional time for the club with a new manager, a new way of playing. Have they got the players, and is Jenkins going to stick with how he got Oxford promoted? Time will tell. I'm looking forward to seeing them play, but for now, I have Boreham Wood in 4th place. Every year I'm excited to see what Chelmsford City do and always have them higher placed than a lot fancy. They do very good business and they know how to gel a squad together. This year they're a harder place to be as fortunate for me. Everyone loses key players if they perform well and don't gain promotion. But with the talents of Jermaine Francis, Luke Jenkins, Ben Brooks, George Alexander leaving, this is a massive gap in this squad to recover from and then go again to gain 2nd place or higher. Can they? Well, sure they can. They haven't got a weak squad at all, and I still expect them to maintain a playoff push, but don't think they'll be as strong this year. Every year, you know, Chelmsford will be strong defensively, and not many teams concede a lot less than what the Clarets do. With Francis out the fold, they have turned to Calvin Kalala, a tricky player who will get you off your seat for sure, and to hopefully provide the goals for frontman Jake Hyde, who has not had the run of games I'm sure he would have wanted in the last few seasons, and hopefully a fit pre-season and starting off finding the net early in his time in Essex will surely help him be a real asset for the club. Blackman's a smart pickup in the middle of the field, and Sam Oguntayo performed very well last season. Charlie Ruff, such a danger man, isn't he, in the net for National League South defences, and he will no doubt be in line to hit double figures again this season. They so nearly took Yeovil closer last season, really closing the gap in the months to the run-in, and ended with 84 points. 2nd place, 2nd best defence, but playoff pain in extra time against rivals Braintree. Can they go again? Not as high for me this season. I currently have Chelmsford in 9th place. James Duncan and Michael Murray grabbed promotion last year by the scruff of the neck. Chesham took 90 points on their way to promotion last season and fully deserved it. The Generals have been fighting for promotion for a number of years and they are now finally here in the National League South. A major factor of last year's success was that of striker Ricardo German, who has unfortunately left the club on the back of that successful year. But some of the stars and quality of that squad certainly stuck around. Zach Joseph, Lewis Rolfe and Evan Jones among a few. With German gone, they still have a striker who scored 17 goals in the league last season and played this level before in Carl Olajide. And they have been brought in 2 fantastic signings. Nathan Minas scored plenty for Slough last season and raised a few eyebrows moving over to Chesham when he was expected to stay at Arbour Park. And also Mitchell Weiss, 10 goals last season for St Albans. With these 3, I don't think they'll even think about German in a few months. They couldn't have asked for a tougher start with a lot of the fancied sides in the first month of the season, starting with a trip to Eastbourne. But Duncan and Murray will relish the challenge to put their stamp down early on. Been impressed with who they've been brought in so far, and when you look at the back with the experience of Jack Corley and another top player in Connor Stevens arriving, I don't think Chesham will make it look easy, but I expect Chesham to be comfortable in the way the other sides were, like Weston last year for example, not really looking over their shoulders too much. Chesham for me finishing in 14th place in the National League South. Last season I predicted Chippenham to be in the dreaded bottom 4 and they never even looked like relegation candidates. Maybe I was a year too early. I think while Gary Horgan always gets the best out of his squad, they could be a victim of others strengthening a lot this summer. That said, the squad is not complete in the time of making this prediction, so we'll have to see who else they bring in. I feel the loan market will be key for Chippenham. They have added Joe Andrews from Southampton's academy, who has a good pedigree and has shown some great ability. They also possess one of my favourite players at this level in Kane Bradbury. Signed on for another season, he really is a joy to watch whenever I've seen Chippenham play. At the age of 23, he's still got time to grow. Harry Parsons is the only other player coming in, a player who had a loan spell in this league last year at Weymouth. They lost top prospect Dan Ellison to League One Bristol Rovers, and they keep churning these youngsters through at Hardenhuish Park. No side in the National League South used less players than Chippenham last season, with only 25 players Horgan picked to represent the Bluebirds, and they also keep top player Freddie Grant. A 12th place finish with 62 goals, 62 conceded and 62 points last term, and second top scorer as well. Craig Fassamade has also made a move out of Chippenham to Salisbury. You do worry at the moment for goals. So for now, the way the other clubs have constructed a lot of their squad, a wait-and-see issue on Chippenham for now. But for at the moment, I have them in 20th place. If Mark White is to be believed, this is the year we should see Dorking dominate and win their highest ever prize. White, idolised by many, is very bold of his claim that he expects Dorking Wanderers to deliver this season, and it's hard to argue against it with the quality of the squad. They moved early in the summer to bring in key players. Exciting left-back Jordan Norval-Williams arrives from Farnborough, along with Brennan Camp and Harrison Folkes. Rhys Murphy's move should be very fitting for Dorking. With the creative sparks they have in midfield, Murphy, Pryor and Rutherford should be seeking plenty of goals this year. Wanderers returned to the league they left 2 years ago, picking up plenty of admirers along the way. But it's trips to former rivals this year, and Dorking will always be remembered for their way they left the league, that breathtaking playoff win over Ebbsfleet. They bring back some players who know this level and should be playing higher, in my opinion. Josh Taylor, for example, is an absolute quality midfielder who should dominate a lot of duels this year. Aaron Curl enjoyed life in the National League South with Slough and also his loan with Farnborough last season too. So hopefully the supporters of Meadowbank will see that quality from him this year. I think the use of 5 subs this year will benefit the stronger squads, absolutely. Dorking will be around the top, that's for sure. And with that said, my prediction is that Dorking Wanderers will finish second. Eastbourne really struggled with the transition to full-time football last season, and Mark Beard started the season, never really got going. A whole new squad that didn't gel or react to what he was expecting. Roll on the 4th of January this year, and Adam Murray arrived at Priory Lane. Former assistant at Cheltenham and manager of AFC Fylde and Mansfield, he came with a new identity, brought in some fresh faces, including excited Yaya Bamba, who stays around for this season also. They scraped through to the finish line in the end, losing just one of their last 11 league games, picking up plenty of clean sheets. And they've built on that squad this summer with experience and know-how of this league, adding the strikers and marksmen of the calibre of George Alexander and Alfie Pavey. Alexander scored 14 goals across 4 clubs last season, with Pavey leaving Farnborough in September the league's top scorer with 8 in 9. Scored only 1 more goal for the rest of the season across time at Woking and Braintree, but it's a signing if he clicks, will become prolific. Murray has moved to bring in some experienced faces in the shape of Klaas and Petlabo and last year's Lone Star Moussa Diarra. A very short stay was keeper Adam Debois, who joined in the summer from Hampton and Richmond but has since departed. So the number 1 for this year looks like Joe Wright, the ex-Millwall and Bath City stopper, moves across from Galway United. Sports fans will be delighted that Pierce Bird has made his loan move permanent, and Jaden Davis, a tenacious midfielder who helped Braintree to success last season, is another signing I like a lot. Eastbourne just have to be better this season and really have to improve upon that 19th place finish, and I think they certainly will. I've got currently Eastbourne in their 11th place next season. A 3-0 win in the playoff final versus Chatham Town mean Enfield Town come into the National League South after flirting with promotion for the last 5 seasons. Record-breaking crowds at the QA2 Stadium, a strike force to be reckoned with. Sam Youngs and Marcus Wiley smashed together a staggering 53 goals between them last season. Enfield legends Youngs having the most productive season in front of goal for the Towners. However, it is expected that Wiley will move on. It will no doubt cause a massive void in that attack. Gavin McPherson assembles a squad this summer to be able to cope with that step up. Benny Leonard is a signing I like the look of, a goal-scoring midfielder coming in from Harrow and will add to the depth he has in the middle of the park. They've kept hold of some key members of that winning squad from last year, including Lewis Taff and Mickey Parcell. Adding to that dynamic squad has been Solomon, an exciting winger Nana Owusu, after a successful spell at Waltham and Hersham. Plus 2 players who would be hoping for better this year, Joash Nembard and Jack Smith, following the relegation with Dartford last season. This is a step up, but I like the squad they have. Some fantastic supporters down there, and add a couple more and they could really surprise a lot of people this year. But for where the squad is currently, I do have Enfield surviving just in 19th place. Predicted last season that Farnborough were playoff ready was wrong. They struggled to find form as Day spent some time doing some squad surgery. He got a real tune out of the Yellows in the run-in, losing only 3 of their last 17 games. Unfortunately, 2 of those defeats were in the final 4 games to damage any playoff hope. This season, they are playoff ready for me, and I'm sure that Spencer Day and Farnborough Football Club will be in those playoffs this season. One of the key players for me has to be Oliver Pendlebury, a quality player who has signed a 2-year contract, very rare at this level, and the first one for the club has ever handed out. And what a player to hand it to. To be honest, I don't think this squad is done and probably need a couple more bodies. They might come in the shape of loans. But one area that really helped them at the back end of last year, Taylor Clark, the loan from Wickham, was such a success. He rejoins to link up with the Borough until January. Mason Bloomfield was a real hit at Farnborough in 22-23 and returns after a year at Hampton. Joe Haig will be attacking with Bloomfield, and a real talent, the former Chelsea youngster, came in at the back end of March and grabbed a 1-in-2 ratio in front of goal. Josh Casey is a class player and will no doubt show this and his competitiveness at this level. Oyeleke has had some injury issues and will hope for a good run in his games in the yellow this season. Should be more than capable quality to add to the ranks, as will Sam Smart, a tricky midfielder who also brings in some great ability. Yes, they've lost one of their standout players in Norval Williams at the end of the season. But the end of the season form, the stability of Day, a clear identity of the summer targets they've got over the line so far, I do fancy them. And for me, Farnborough next season in 5th place. They don't come more transitional this summer than Hampton and Richmond. Completely changed things around in the dressing room. Hampton have the best unbeaten run of anyone last season. A maximum of 15 games without defeat saw them rise to 2nd in the league and a potential push for promotion. It just didn't work out that way, and only 1 win in their final 9 games meant that they didn't even see the playoffs. A massive summer build, a complete squad cut, and as well as what they felt they needed as well, with Alan Julian jumping in as being first team manager for the first time in his career. Such is the unknown this year with Hampton. With the appointment and a massive turnaround of the squad, you struggle to see them being as high up as they were last year. However, if they do and it all clicks, Julian will be there for one of the managers of the year, surely. Lost some key players with Debois, Bloomfield, Seymour, Thomas Bitlabo and Luis Fernandez. It's a whole new changing room, but the positives are that some quality that they've brought in as well. Former player James Roberts returns from Havant and Waterlooville. An exciting academy player, Ted Curd, comes in on loan from Chelsea to compete between the sticks. Bunmi Babajide has a good season at this level below and feel more comfortable at this level. He could end up being a real find as well from Cashalton. A lot of players have come from the level below. Exciting winger Josh Williams, plenty of pace and power, and goals at Whitstable last season. Slough made it work last season with recruitment from the lower leagues. It worked out fine for them, but it does always mean there is a bit of a gamble. Ode Martin was a key player for Worthing before his injury last year. Alex Wall and Gianni Critchlow have experience at this level. So they do have a capable squad, but they do have a few too many that are not in the golden form of a mix of inexperience. A few many question marks in this squad to make me feel comfortable that they were a challenge for me. Probably could do with another goal-scoring striker to complement as well. But at the moment, I have Hampton and Richmond in 18th place. Bobby Wilkinson for sure came out guns blazing at the end of last season to assemble his squad. Much was needing to change at Hemel in a disappointing season which saw them finish 20th and nearly went into the last day drama to stay in the league. Hemel have not really challenged in the National League South since 17-18 where they finished in the playoffs. Wilkinson's transfers and a buzz around Vauxhall Road points to the sort of season in 24-25. Fifth might be pushing it and surely will take some time for those players to get right into it, even though a full pre-season will certainly help. A few standout signings for me: Teddy Howe, someone Wilkinson knows very well from his Weymouth time. Geordie Mungoy always catches the eye. Alfie Chiruli, a player who was at Hemel previously but has got better and better in his last 2 years at Billericay. Ricardo German fired 31 league goals for Chesham United last season, and with the option of Chiruli, German, Iacofano and McKeown, they are stacked with firepower. The best signing of the summer is the re-signing of Carl Ajayi, a rock at the back for Hemel and one of the few positives from last season. With a better looking back four around him will only improve their fortunes. They may go under the radar with what I expect an up and down start, so there is potential for the squad to have a flirt with the playoffs, but I think they'll be a little shorter down than that, and at the moment I currently have Hemel in 15th place. Hornchurch promotion last year of 100 points and 95 goals saw a return to the National League South for the first time since 2013. A lot of top level players are at Hornchurch and they've added more quality to a squad that already consists of the likes of Akinwande, Scannell, Muldoon and Liam Nash. Akinwande and Nash will be joining in the attack in front by Angelo Balanta. 34-year-old Balanta moves to the Urchins from Boreham Wood and gives them plenty of experience. Darren McQueen is no stranger to this level and he comes in for that firepower as well. Charlie Adams is a very acute signing and will no doubt compose a lot of that play in the middle of the field for Hornchurch, and Daryl McMahon will be delighted to be able to attract his signature. Skipper Lewis Spence departs, but his experience and know-how this summer has brought in that will ensure that they have that plenty of blend of quality and leaders. A lot expect Hornchurch to be quite comfortable coming up into this league, with the wage budget probably not in the bottom half of this league. I think, too, they will be comfortable in staying up, hovering around the same position most of the season, and I think for Hornchurch next season I've got them in 13th place. What a season last year for Maidstone United. FA Cup run last season which saw them one win away from the quarter-finals before a defeat against Championship Coventry City. Playoff heartbreak against Worthing in the last minute. But George Elokobi, who had his doubters going into last season, proved a thrilling season for the Stones faithful. He will want one better and promotion this season, and there's no reason why that can't be achieved. Shipped out a lot of players who were on that journey last year, and some are surprised to leave and be released, as Anolim, Kelly, Wanjao, Smith. But with that, he's really brought in some talent this summer. Last year, Shaq Colthurst and Aaron Blair were firing Braintree to promotion, and they both come into Maidstone colours this season. Another player who knows about promotion and attack is Pierre Foncal, who comes in as well, following promotion with Oxford City the season before last. Charlie Seaman signs for the third time, this time permanently from League Two Doncaster Rovers. Jordan Higgs, Player of the Year at Tonbridge last season, signs for league rivals in another top move. Not to mention Krasniki and Aweka, who performed so well for Aveley and Slough respectively last season. Ben Brooks signs from Chelmsford, and his talent down that left-hand side gives that side so much balance you can't help but feel they'll be right up there with the best this year. Sam Corn stays around as well. It's probably the best part of business for Elokobi. The team will hope for a better start to the season with just 3 wins in their opening 8 games last time around. But I do not see much better in the shape of Maidstone this season. So for me, they are my champions and in first place. Salisbury, you could say, grabbed some good fortune with the late penalty earned against Gosport Borough in the playoffs of the Southern Prem last year. But nevertheless, they seized that opportunity and won promotion and a ticket to the National League South. For Salisbury, it's the first time in the league since being reformed in 2015. The Whites were under the name of Salisbury City before liquidated in 2014 and won promotion from the National League South under the name Conference South in 2013. Will Salisbury be aiming for promotion yet again? I would imagine Brian Dutton will take surviving A lot more experience in the squad with Saido John Batty, the club captain, more than in familiar surroundings. The additions of Craig Fassamade raised some eyebrows signing for the Whites and will be a welcome addition. Fassamade scored 9 goals from midfield for Chippenham last season. Luke Wilkinson comes in from Woking to bring some experience alongside John Batty. And with the previously mentioned Payne for Gosport, they also grab forward Rafa Ramos from the South Coast club too. I think Salisbury will have a tough season in the current state of the way of the squad. More than capable of beating plenty of sides, but with the strength of a lot of clubs in this league, I feel like they'll find it tough. And that's why for me, currently, I have Salisbury in 23rd place. Scott Davies provided a good season for Slough last season. Yes, I tipped them to fall behind and go down, but he really galvanised that side and they ended up the season sitting in 10th place and towards the end even had a strong go at the playoffs, but with 2 wins in their final 9 games, just came a little short. This summer they have lost some of their key players from that squad. Johnny Goddard, Dice and Aweka have swapped Arbour Park for full-time football. Second top scorer surprised us with a move to Chesham United in Nathan Minyas. This has left Davies finding goal scorers and a talisman figure Goddard to replace. He searched again in the lower leagues for talent and come up with Sam Smith, 14 goals at Hanwell Town last season, and John Gilbert, a very capable midfield figure in from Walton. They still have a good core of players in this squad. Spazov Ogbonna, who really got himself into life in the National League South, and that man himself, Scott Davies. A blow to have an injury to key player Matt Lynch in pre-season, which will hinder their start to the season. We're also strengthening with Chelmsford midfielder Henry Ochieng. The strength is certainly still there. I don't think Slough will still be as high as they were, but with the work rate and demand that Davies has of his players to represent this club, there is only one thing that will happen this year, and that will be secure in the league. But maybe others just too strong for me at present. Let's just see who else joins the club. But right now, I have Slough in 16th place. I think you can probably forgive the sluggish start to last season under Noble for St Albans on the back of the woeful playoff final the season prior. Noble was meandering in mid-table for much of the season before Wilston came calling and whisked him away for a chance in the National League. Didn't go to plan for Wilston or Noble, and he ended up leaving pretty quickly. Coming back into St Albans in the close season with work to do and some unfinished business. That's certainly how he has dealt with his summer transfer policy. Quality additions Alfie Payne, Lewis Mikio, Deadfield, Long King, and potentially exciting frontline of prolific goalscorer Sean Jeffers and new signing Ken Charles. Jeffers didn't feature too often in the starting lineup at the beginning of last season, but still managed to bag 26 goals in the league, one short of the previous 2 seasons of 27. With that being exciting for St Albans fans, what's more exciting for me is the formidable duo of Josh Castiglione and Gio Rasulo in the midfield. Rasulo pulled the strings for St Albans last year, and he's got players around him this season to do just that, the same again. And I expect a lot of goals to come from Noble's men. It's a very exciting squad, and a lot of squad has remained as well. St Albans will not be worrying about mid-table this season, and I see them being fighting towards the top. So for me, St Albans next season, 3rd place in the National League South. I've really expected Tonbridge Angels to be a surprise package for the last 2 seasons under Jay Saunders, and this year I actually fear for them. I think the squad is decent, and the permanent signing of Jeremy Santos is exciting. Losing key keeper Henley, the club's player of the year Jordan Higgs, could well be a potentially difficult season for Saunders. No doubt Saunders is the reason why they potentially could defy the odds, and if they get Noel Leighton firing, this could go under the radar as a top signing. Leighton scored 32 goals for 3 Bridges, but this is 2 levels above and is a new beast for that forward. Jamie Fielding is a top talent, and I'll be glad he finally agreed to stay for another season. Joe Terry, I'd like to see have a crack this year instead of another loan for the youngster. And if the Taylor Maloney we had at Welling arrives, then that's a great bit of business. Missed the start of last season with injury and never really recovered in his spells at Farnborough and Dartford. They have a lot of players I admire and appreciate, but feel for a lot of them this could be a final year to prove that worth. I really hope they can be a lot more comfortable than I expect, but at this present moment I see Tonbridge Angels and have them in 21st place. A new board, a new manager, a near-on new squad. The experience of Neil Warnock guiding them from behind the scenes. Goals fans will be hoping for a lot more to shout about than last season. Points deductions and poor form for large parts meant they finished the first season back in the National League South in 18th place. Paul Watton did a wonderful job at Truro with the promotion and to keep the side in the league with so many postponements towards the end of the season. He comes in and grabs a couple of old mates with him, goalkeeper James Heyman and Palmer. Got to say the player announcements on the socials were absolute brilliant watch this summer, and some of those players they have brought in, the likes of Threlkeld, Dreyer, Carson, should ensure Torquay are a much better force this season. Jordan Dyer was excellent for Bath last season and one of the best signings for me at Torquay, along with left-back Jay Falston, who helped and guided Yeovil to promotion in the loan he had there last season. Ben Seymour arrives and is a proper goalscorer to complement Brad Ash, club's top scorer last year, with 12. Hayfield joins Dyer from Bath as a majority of the starting 11 this season will be new players for Torquay fans to witness. But Dean Moxey will be back for another season, so there will be a couple of familiar faces around the place too. Torquay have a lot of transition to go through on the pitch, but should still be in that playoff picture. And there will be no doubt and no argument if they actually finished in the top 7, but just missing out for me. I've got Torquay United in 8th place. John Askey is certainly a move that surprised a lot when he was appointed Truro manager this summer. Askey is yet to really have a go at bringing in players at this point of conversation. Goalkeeper Lavercombe in from Taunton and Sam Sanders making his loan permanent, the only move so far. 26 goals between Tyler Harvey and Andrew Neil was the result of a lot of their points last season, and they will need them firing from the word go this season. They started life in the league with a thumping 5-2 win against Welling, but certainly just before Christmas it became a little bit more of a struggle for Truro. With so many games off, so many games to catch up on, it was an absolute credit that they survived. Club legend Stuart Yetton stays as assistant, and is a major factor for happiness for supporters is the fact they'll be back in Truro playing again. The sports hub ready to welcome the club back into the city. Not as much travelling this year for those supporters. Right now with the squad, you'd feel they may slip in the final position of 16th from last season, but I would not begrudge Truro to be competing in mid-table if Askey brings in a few new faces that they should be capable of adding some real quality. But as things stand with the way the squad is set at the moment of this conversation, I have Truro currently in 22nd place. Welling was struggling and looking like they were only going one way last season. 27 games played, they picked up just 4 wins and sat 22nd in the league. The final 19 games brought only 2 defeats and saw them comfortable in the end in 17th place. Rod Stringer certainly brought stability and made Welling very hard to break down. 4 clean sheets in their final 6 league games as Stringer put across his ideas. Welling used more players than any other club last season, 48 in total wearing red. Certainly wouldn't have showed much consistency with the revolving amount of players. One of those players from the ever-producing youth system at Welling, David Kamara, got a move to League One Peterborough United in the summer, and they will hope for more quality coming through the ranks to come. Experience and a fresh approach in the summer window this year. Dave Winfield, an experienced centre-half, joins from Chelmsford, and Anthony Grant has signed for another season, and his presence in midfield was a big plus for Welling last year. Anointed Chukwu comes in from Wingate in Finchley after scoring 17 goals last season as he attempts to step back up the leagues. I would worry potentially goals will be hard to find in this squad currently, but with the signings like Miles Judd, Gene Kennedy, Taylor Crossdale and Harvey Walker, it definitely brings some more excitement for Wings fans. I don't think Welling are in danger of going down, and if they bring in a couple more forward players, they can make an attempt to push the playoff door, but I certainly have them more comfortable than last year, and currently in 12th place. Scott Bartlett did a fantastic job securing Weston-super-Mare's place in the National League South and made no mistake in ensuring they were never in any real danger last season, finishing top of the bottom of the half in 13th place. Never dropping below 18th place is quite some feat coming into a new league. They've really produced some exciting signings this summer. James Waite up top, and midfielders Luke Colson and Ollie Chamberlain, goalkeeper Kelland Absalom. The thought of Chamberlain and Dodd, there's not going to be many stronger midfields, I feel, for Weston this year in this league. And it looks like it's going to be an even better season for Weston, and keeping regular starters such as Thomas, Jagger Kane, Dodd, Bastin and Reid. The form also of Bailey Kempster towards the back end of the season offers a bit more encouragement. Not going to lie, I had them placed higher before the announcement of Lloyd Humphries' departure. Such a key player for me, and sure, he definitely deserves that step up. What a player he was last year, and he has been for most of his Weston career. Only a matter of time before that happened. He was instrumental for Weston last year. So I've taken them down a couple of notches, but I still fancy Weston to be stronger than they were in that 13th place finish last season. And I currently have Scott Bartlett's Weston-super-Mare in 10th place. A decent start to last season for Weymouth, but they never really got out of that bottom mid-table area for much of the season. Mark Molesley returned to the club last season, and while he ensured safety, struggled to find the net with blanks in 4 of the last 6 league games. He's brought in a few faces, and there's an exciting signing in there in the shape of Francis Amati, one player who will certainly get the fans on the edge of their seat. Genesini from Swindon, after his loan spell at Yeovil last season, is a good bit of business, and Malachi Linton makes his move permanently to Weymouth. He's joined up top by Ewan Pollock, who joins after his release from Bournemouth, so he should show some potential. Ezio Torre, captain Tom Bearwish stayed to keep the supporters satisfied. I'm unsure how Molesley will make a name for himself in this league littered with stronger squads, in my opinion, so I do see them struggling, which is a shame as they look like a club at the start of last season they could be capable of building. I see a lot of squads stronger than Weymouth next season, and I do worry with their strength at the moment with the squad. So for me, I currently have Weymouth in 24th place. Another side going through some sort of transition. Aaron Racine couldn't quite get Worthing over the line, losing in the playoff final to Braintree Town last year. They've appointed former Hastings manager Chris Aguta. He comes in with the task of picking the club back up after that playoff heartache and losing goal machine Ollie Pearce. To lose a 40-goal striker is a killer for any club, and they will do well to replace someone who gets half. But maybe they already have someone that could already step up into Pearce's shadows. More on him in a minute. They also lost top players Joe Felix and Joe Rye, both leaving for the step above. So some squad surgery has had to be done. Aguta has brought in Jake Hutchinson, who will hope his form of the original form with Eastbourne comes forward rather than the no-goal return for his loan move last season. Tyrese Owens, exciting signing. The unit of the midfielder has the ability to be a top signing in this league. Glenn Rear returns to the club, and Sam Beard played a key role for Eastbourne last season and keeps Worthing ticking with another top pickup. The squad still has quality, and what makes it as exciting is potentially you won't need to find that goal scorer in the transfer window. Not as prolific probably as Ollie Wright was for sure, but Danny Cashman is a huge card for Worthing to play this year. Signed on again and creates so many chances for himself as well as others. Youngsters Finley Chadwick, Brad Dolligan and Ollie Starkey have some great pedigree to open up a run in the squad if Aguta wants to utilise the youngsters. Dolligan had, for his example, had a great run in the side last season and scored 7 in 9 league games. A big potential for that young lad. Worthing will need to stop shipping goals as they did last season, albeit under a different setup. They conceded 4 goals on 8 occasions last season. Such is the attacking manta of the club. They conceded more than relegated Taunton Town, so that's something they definitely need to shore up. But this is a new era, and one I think will be a bit more of an uphill challenge this season. I don't think they'll be as high as last year, but certainly have a playoff challenge in them. So Worthing for me in 6th place. So that's it. That's my take on next season's National League South. Let me know below what you think and who you see as challenges for next season. What player coming through are we going to be talking about, and who will get the next National League or EFL move. Looking forward to getting back to the season in 24-25. Promises to be an enthralling season in the National League South.